Okay, so you're fluent in Spanish, right? Or at least you'd like to be.
I like to think so.
Me too, me too. But then there are these moments, like with this thing we're diving into today, the subjunctive mood. It's like Spanish grammar throws you a curveball just when you think you've got it.
Right. And it's not just about memorizing verb endings, is it? It's about this whole other layer of meaning.
Exactly. So today we are tackling the Spanish subjunctive. We're calling this one Mastering the Spanish Subjunctive, a quick start guide. We've been digging into some really interesting linguistic research for this.
Yeah, some fascinating stuff.
And our mission is to go beyond the basics, beyond just wishing and hoping, and really unlock the power of the subjunctive to express those subtle shades of meaning that make your Spanish sound so much more natural.
Yeah.
You with me?
Absolutely. I think what often trips people up is that the subjunctive isn't just about what you want or wish, but how that intersects with the uncertainty of other people's actions, or even just how the world works, you know?
Right. It's like the grammar itself is acknowledging that life doesn't always go according to plan.
Exactly. And that's where the subjunctive comes in. It's all about perspective
Yeah.
and how we express uncertainty grammatically.
Which I have to say is a pretty cool concept. So let's jump right in. Our notes here say that one of the keys to mastering the subjunctive is recognizing those trigger words and phrases that practically scream subjunctive alert.
Ugh.
What are some of the most common ones we should look out for?
Well, some are pretty straightforward, like when you're talking about desires or needs. Querer, to want, necessitar, to need. Those are dead giveaways. But it gets more nuanced with things like advice, permission, or even just expressing your feelings politely.
Okay, yeah, that's where I start to get a little shaky. It's like, is there a general rule of thumb to remember when those situations call for the subjunctive?
Absolutely. A good rule of thumb is that if you're dealing with an action or outcome that someone else controls, even if you have an opinion about it, that's your cue to reach for the subjunctive.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see the light here. So it's not just about what I want, but acknowledging that someone else might have other plans.
Exactly. Like, es fundamental que lo hagan ellos solos. It's fundamental that they do it, but will they? The subjunctive hagen acknowledges that element of uncertainty.
That makes so much more sense now. And what about that other example we have here? Más vale que ahorres.
Perfect example. It means it's better if you save. You're giving advice, but ultimately it's up to the other person whether they actually save their money. The subjunctive ahorres reflects that.
This is really starting to click for me. Now let's get to the stuff that really makes my head spin. What about those impersonal expressions? In English, they seem so straightforward, but then bam, Spanish throws a subjunctive in there and I'm lost.
Yeah, it's tricky because it can feel counterintuitive. It's like in your head you're stating a fact, but grammatically you're acknowledging that it's not entirely within your control.
So how do we navigate that?
Well, think of it this way. You're expressing your feeling or opinion, but also acknowledging that the outcome depends on other factors or other people. A great example is, me parece importante que nos ayudemos. It seems important to me that we help each other. You're stating your feeling, but whether everyone actually chips in, that's where the subjunctive ayudemos comes in.
So basically you're saying, this seems like a no-brainer to me, but who knows what everyone else is thinking? I like it.
Precisely. And that brings us to another fascinating use of the subjunctive, polite requests. This is where it can really elevate your Spanish.
Right, like you're at a fancy restaurant, you want to impress your date with your Spanish skills.
And you casually drop, permítame que le recomiende la carne. Allow me to recommend the meat. You're asking permission, but the final decision rests with them. Hence the subjunctive, recommend.
Smooth. That is how you make a good impression. Okay, this has been eye-opening. I feel like I'm finally starting to understand this whole subjunctive thing.
And we've only just scratched the surface with the present subjunctive. There's a whole world of other subjunctive tenses out there.
Which just goes to show there's always more to learn. For all you listeners out there, if the present subjunctive can add this much nuance to your Spanish, imagine the possibilities when you unlock the power of the other tenses. But we will save those for another deep dive. Until then, happy practicing.